and welcome to NADA. I'm Christine Genier. UFO stories are everywhere these days, but it's rare that they're told from an Aboriginal perspective. In December of 1996, approximately 31 people claimed to have witnessed a giant UFO along a 340-kilometer stretch of highway in the Yukon. As we discover, this was no ordinary sighting, and according to legend, this is not the first encounter with UFOs in the Yukon. We hope you enjoy the show.
Until recent times, the histories of Canada's Aboriginal peoples, especially in Yukon, was not recorded in written form. Their stories of creation, how they viewed their world, and major events throughout time have, for the most part, been passed along through the oral storytelling tradition. Some stories told around campfires since time immemorial are of strange entities or spirit beings who interacted with humans. Other stories suggest beings who manifested themselves in various aerial phenomena, such as lights or clouds in the sky, sometimes taking locals to strange and distant worlds. These stories were told and retold long before the Roswell UFO incident of 1947, and while anthropological in nature, the stories foreshadow many of the UFO phenomena observed around the world over the past 6 decades. Now, the Yukon, famous for its wilderness, wildlife, and beauty, and its rich First Nation and Gold Rush history, has entered the vast database of UFO research with a story of its own. It's a unique account not only because of the scale and location of the sightings, but because it appears to put into perspective many of the stories told for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years around crackling fires, of strange beings and lights in the nighttime sky. This story unfolds not around a campfire, but on a lonely stretch of highway. This is the North Klondike Highway. It is a 541-kilometer stretch that begins in Whitehorse, the capital city of the Yukon Territory, and runs through several communities and gas stops before ending in Dawson City, the hub of the Klondike Gold Rush of 1898. At certain times of the year, travel along this highway can be a long, lonely experience, especially at night. On a cold winter evening in 1996, over 30 people witnessed an event that would leave them wondering what they saw and questioning their own reality. Travelers on this highway spot something out over a lake that makes them skid to a stop. Around the same time that evening, in 3 different communities in the region, several people witness an object hovering over their villages, leaving them shaken, and in one case, face down on a bridge, trembling with fear. This strange event was investigated and recorded by Martin Jacek, founding member of the Yukon UFO Research Society.
At Fox Lake, the first sighting was around quarter to 8 in the evening. Then at the main sighting there occurred around 8:30. In Carmax, it was 7 o'clock. Some indications there might have been a 10 o'clock sighting as well. The village of Pelly Crossing, it was 9 o'clock, and in the village of Mayo, it was around 10 o'clock.
For Danny Skookum, the evening starts out like any other. Traveling from Whitehorse to Carmax, he notices that although it's cold outside, it's a clear and cloudless night. At around 8 p.m., he approaches the southern tip of Fox Lake. He sees something out of the corner of his eye. To the northwest of his position is a white light. Not thinking too much about it, he continues on. To him, it looks like a vehicle is shining its headlights on a curve of road. But he knows there's no road, not out over the lake where he sees the light. Keeping an eye on the light, Danny passes 2 vehicles heading in the opposite direction. The lights from these vehicles interfere with his vision for a moment, but when his eyes adjust, 3 rows of lights slowly disappear behind a hill. To his astonishment, the lights appear to be part of a larger object. He continues on his way, thinking what he'd just witnessed looked like something out of a Star Trek movie. But this is not a movie. This is very real.
We refer to the witnesses to protect their names as Fox 2 or 1 or 3. Fox 2 and Fox 3, they were driving along the lake, and they came down this hill here, and all of a sudden this huge row of lights appears, a UFO actually. They could see the outline of the top and bottom.
And I noticed, as I look across that lake, I noticed there's something huge in the air. I thought that there was no way there's a helicopter out here, especially in the winter. Or I don't think a helicopter would be flying late at night. Or I don't think a jet plane would be flying that low or staying one place in the air.
They stop about 500 or 600 meters apart, and the UFO slowly goes over the lake.
But you can see the lake and the mountains, roughly, and how huge it was over there. The size of it, I would say, is as big as a football field. And it got even bigger when it got closer.
As the object moved directly over him, the witness, referred to as Fox 2, got out of his truck and stared up into a bright light.
As you see now, when I seen up, it's so bright though, and kind of like a saucer shape, like as it went over. It's bright, it has lights all over underneath, but it had lights on the side too, as you see. You can see, clearly see little windows, like almost like on the side. You see under it, kind of like a plate, almost like a long plate or whatever underneath, like when it went over.
The witness tries to use a two-way radio in his truck, but when he turns it on, all he can raise is static.
What is that? I was wondering. It couldn't fit. And the radio went all buzz, wouldn't work. Couldn't get through on that.
At the same time, his cousin scrambles for a disposable camera. By the time he finds it, the object has disappeared.
I looked at both ways of the road and I noticed there was a lineup of vehicles, people looking. Their eyes just huge. I don't know how long I stayed there. Just stand there in shock, I guess, before I went back and my cousin went and asked, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And yes, I went back into the truck and started up and kept going.
And at the same time, witnesses Fox 4 and 5, they came around this corner here and they saw this huge row of lights going across the lake out here. And then they recall going past here and seeing Fox 2 and 3. So we know that both sets of witnesses saw the UFO at the same time.
Witnesses Fox 4 and 5 are a couple. They have a baby in the back seat of their car.
At first they thought it was a truck out here, like a semi-trailer truck with all the lights, but there's no road out here. Then they thought it was a jumbo jet crashing. Then no, it wasn't that. Then when they realized it was UFO, they got scared. The wife wanted to go back, stop, you know, and then, but there was a truck ahead of them, so they decided to continue on, and they lost sight of it as they went into the tree area here.
I heard stories a long time ago from other people. They see things following their vehicles. Around Fox Lake area too, I heard before. And not too long ago, even up the Asia Road. But I don't know what to say, what it was. I don't know if it's human to have that technology for something that huge. Just, I mean, look how much noise a helicopter makes just to get off the ground and to hover. And it makes a lot of noise. This thing is big as a football field and not make a sound, just come over like that.
Close to the same time, a woman referred to as Witness Fox 6 is driving alone along the same stretch when a strange light illuminates her dashboard. She looks up, and to her amazement, a group of multicolored lights are hovering over her vehicle. The lights in her vehicle dim. The music she's listening to garbles. She watches until each of the lights seem to go out. She drives on, confused, not sure what she's just witnessed. In Yukon, the Braeburn Lodge is situated about halfway between Whitehorse and Carmacks. It's a popular stop for travelers between the two centers, a place where tourists and truckers can satisfy an appetite and swap stories with Steve Watson, the owner-operator of the lodge. He's heard a lot of stories during his time there, but on the evening of December 11th, 1996, he heard of an event that seemed so incredible it would leave him scanning the evening skies around his property for months afterwards.
I was sitting at the table. It was getting later at night, and there's usually people coming back from Whitehorse, and this fella came in, Danny Skookum from Carmacks. And Danny's a good friend of mine, and he's quite excited, and he starts telling me about this object he saw at Little Fox Lake, and he's describing it to me in quite a bit of detail.
As I pulled into Braeburn, there was a lot of people there, and everybody was gathered around. They were all excited, and everybody was talking about it.
A little while later, another car come in, and this other fella, he was quite excited too. They were really excited, and they come in. I think he had some people with him, and he sat down. We all started talking about it, and he starts drawing the exact same thing that Danny had just told me. He drew it, and while he was doing this, a bunch of other people came in from Pelly, and they described the same thing that was being drawn. And it was kind of weird, you know, like they were pretty excited about it, because they all realized that they all saw the same thing.
We can calculate the actual size of the UFO. They did say it was huge. So here's Fox 4 and 5's location. You project that angle out to here where Fox 2 and Fox 3 were. Here's a few estimates of the size of the UFO, and based on those drawings, you can see the scale here. It was in the order of 1 or 2 kilometers, maybe just under a kilometer for the smallest estimate here.
Pelly Crossing has a total population of less than 300 people, 80% of whom are First Nation. It's 282 kilometers northwest of Whitehorse on the banks of the Pelly River. Most of the work is in government, providing services such as education and health. The main employer is the Selkirk